Hello and good evening. Uh, I'm Mr. Anandan, the Hindu's resident editor for Kerala, and today I have with me Mr. Ravi Raman, who is a member of the State Planning Board, and Emmanuel Thomas, who is a member of the faculty at St. Thomas College in Thrissur, and we'll be discussing today's state budget. So first of all, there is a perception that this was what was presented by Mr. K.N. Balagopal this morning was a populist budget because this is election year in Kerala, and he announced a slew of insurance schemes, then wage raises for scheme workers, uh, and a couple of big ticket announcements as well for the government servants. Then, even yesterday, on the eve of the budget, the government announced the cabinet took some decisions, very important decisions. One was to pitch one RRTS, Regional Rapid Transit System, and the government also decided to waive off the loans of the victims of 2024 Wayanad landslides. Now, coming back to the budget, so is it a populist in nature, and was it actually put together with the elections in mind? So, my question is to Mr. Ravi Raman.
Yeah,
Over to you, sir.
thanks. Thanks, Anandan. No, I would say that it is not populist at all. I mean, there is no point in calling it as populist. Um, no, because of course, I mean, left Democratic Front has got every right to go for populism. There is nothing wrong about populism if it is led by what is called left democratic government, because that is how that we understand populism from the left perspective. But I tell you frankly that it is not populism at all. It is basically a highly transformative, practical project that we have framed in the form of a budget. So, in that sense, I would say that it is a continuation of what we have been doing for the last 10 years. Because, in fact, I used to argue that, look, I mean, what we are doing in Kerala is an increased, what is called increased emphasis on infrastructure investments, apart from the fact that we also reinforce our primary goal of welfareism. So the thing is that we reinforce the primary idea of what is called the welfareism, the welfare model state, and apart from that, we also intensify our what is called a growth process. It's a kind of what I would say a kind of hybrid developmentalism where you can go, for both for social welfare and economic growth. So that's what's being conceived in the whole budget, and that is quite clear because, as you said, that look, you find a whole lot of what is called announcements in terms of insurance, in terms of subsidies,
Yeah.
and all like that. But that's fine. I mean, there is nothing wrong about it because the Kerala model is a redistributive model. So
Okay.
whatever income that you generate is something which is to be redistributed across social sections, across communities, and that we have always been doing. But the only question that we were facing was that, look, how do we finance this increased form of welfare measures? That was the main question that we were confronted with. But then we started reorienting the economic strategies in such a way that, look, you can also bring in what is called private investments. You can also introduce new growth engines, like, say, what is called this corridor, for instance, rare earth corridor,
Rare
or
earth corridor.
RRT, or new parks, industrial parks, and like that. So many new growth engines are being incorporated in the budget, while without dropping our historically evolved notion of social democratic, what is called welfareism in Kerala.
Okay, so it's a practical budget by all means. That is what you intend to say.
Yes, it is. It is completely practical and transformative. That is what I would like to say.
Okay,
Uh,
so
I,
now, yeah, please, sir.
I can expand it in the sense that I mean, it also takes us what is called a step further into what I would say on the road to what is called upper middle income status. That's also our idea. We within a few years we really want to take this Kerala to the status of upper middle income country status, and for which we need to increase the what is called the per capita income. Right now, actually, the per capita income of the state is 50 to 60% higher than the national average, and that has been made possible specifically because we were in a position to reorient our economic strategies in such a way that, look, we need private investments in critical sectors. We need public private participation in certain sunrise sectors and like that. So it is a continuation of what I used to say, what is called the second turnaround in the Kerala economy. The first turnaround was in the early 80s, which was fueled by the remittances. And
Yes.
this second turnaround, which is ongoing, is being fueled by a combination of remittances and private investments from various sources, plus the what is called the state-led infrastructure projects.
Okay. So the point is that it marks the road, or it marks the road to or path to a new Kerala without forgoing the focus on welfareism, which the state has followed over the last couple of decades.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Because we that's why I say that it is hybrid developmentalism. We need to know. Say for instance, Scandinavian countries, they maintain reasonably good levels of economic growth, sustainable development, but without dropping their social welfare measures. That's a thing that we also wanted to do, and we are much ahead, when compared to other states in terms of social development. So the only thing is that we need to find new sources of financing for this, for which we have already identified certain measures, and if time permits, we go for that sort of discussion. How to mobilize resources for meeting the new growth engines,
Sure.
for fiscal
Yeah,
deficit.
we'll come back to that. We'll come back
Yes,
to that.
yes, yes.
So now, Mr. Emmanuel, what do you think of the budget? Its character and tenor.
Thank you, Anandan. Uh, I would agree with Raman when he says that it is not populist and it is in the nature of leftist governments. I mean, it reflects the policy and the approach of leftist governments towards development. That I agree. But the fact that we are left with only 2 months to the assembly elections, and generally a government would have preferred to go for an interim budget or a vote on account. At this stage, government has displayed the I mean. Uh, Maybe I should call it a strategy to use this budget to convey what the government can deliver in coming years. That way, I think definitely this budget is aimed at the assembly elections, which is coming up.
Yeah, soon
Now,
after. Yeah, please.
yeah, so in that context, the numbers lose its sanctity. Generally, there is an allegation in India with respect to the budgets of whether it is union governments or state governments. In what public finance we call as marksmanship, fiscal marksmanship, is uh, uh, is coming down in over the years. For example, if you look at the current budget itself, the figures, the revised estimates for the current year are far removed from what was estimated last year. So
Yes.
just to give an example, if you look at the state's own tax revenue, budgeted figure was 91,000 crores. Now the revised estimate is 83,000,
83.
almost 8,000 crores less.
Fell short
Now
by
the
so much.
yeah. So the final figures would be much even lesser than that, most
Yeah.
probably. So that way, the government got this opportunity. Government has utilized this opportunity to make use of this budget to convey as much as it can to the public and voters, so that they hope that it will help them in getting more votes. Also, I feel, because the way, as you already pointed out, pensions, DA announcements related to
Yeah.
DA, then the wage rises, and even pay commission, which the
Yeah,
government
12th
was
pay
reluctant to
commission was
declare
announced.
declare early. So all these are reflections of that, I feel. But now, after the elections, I don't know whether the government will be able to, whichever government is coming to power, will be able to go ahead with such projects because of the revenue constraints that we are facing. Over the last few years, the grants from the union government has been displaying a declining trend. That is
Yes.
for sure. And now the Finance Commission award is about to come, and we don't know what is in store for us. The last Finance Commission, we were affected by the award of the previous Finance Commission, where our share had gone down. There was a lot of discussion around that. There has been already discussions around that, and I will take you to one more aspect in this context because if you look at the economic review which was published yesterday, looking at the real sectors, how the economy is performing, the growth rate has gone down a little. From 6.7, it has gone down to 6.1. Although it's a small, fall,
Drop.
it has significance. Although it is a small drop, it has significance because over the last few years, the economy is slowing down slightly. Growth rate is coming down. It is a serious cause for concern for macroeconomists, and that is going to affect our ability to mobilize more funds, etc. And also for Kerala, the geopolitical problems that is occurring everywhere elsewhere in the world has
The
more
Trump
implications
tariffs, the wars that are taking place
everywhere.
outside. Yeah, all those.
Everywhere lot of issues are there, so that way we that adds to the uncertainty for us, one. And secondly, even within India, many states are competing for investments, and unless we are really competent and attracting funds, just because we are the topper in the ease of doing business index, investments wouldn't come here. So, for example, if you look at the Department of Industries Promotion and Internal Trade, their data, if you look at the flow of foreign direct investment, Kerala is not even in the top 10. So that is the reality. Even when we say that we are first in business ease of doing business ranking, we are not even in the top 10. So that way, the real economy, unless the real economy is growing, then we will find it difficult to go ahead with these welfare measures announced in this budget.
But a couple of days ago, Industries Minister made the statement that the fruits of whatever is being done by this government, will be there for everyone to see a couple of years down the lane. Because they've been targeting high-tech green industries, sustainable industries. So, is this something that is actually going to happen? I mean, you see that happening a couple of years from now.
But if that is to happen, that has to get reflected in the investments, right? Capital has to come here. If it is not happening, then how can we say that it is going to happen? That we are going to
They've
see
been
the
trying to
results
set up
coming years.
graphene unit. They've been trying to bring in companies, high-tech companies from abroad, overseas companies, to
But
set
look
up
at
shop in
where,
Kerala, parts of Kerala.
yeah, maybe they're doing a lot, but finally, eventually, we have to
Still,
compare
that is
with
not
other
enough.
states
That is
as
the
well.
point.
Not only that, it's not enough. Ultimately, it's relative performance which matters
Yes.
also, because
Yes.
if for example, we saw $15 billion investment of Google going to Telangana or
Yep.
Hyderabad, right?
Yep.
Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. So we are not able to attract such huge investments. It's difficult to say that, claim that results are on the way. Today's investment becomes tomorrow's income. It will generate tomorrow's income.
So we need to continue
So
to be skeptical about this.
I
So
am
that later on it
skeptical
will be
because
get on
because
the
as
good path.
Raman already pointed out that the government's approach is to believe in a, to project a state-led growth model, which I am skeptical of, because the state doesn't have the resources to make investments. And maybe the way forward, maybe they are also planning more public-private partnerships, and that may be the way forward for Kerala, at least if we are not going ahead for full private sector market oriented economy.
Yes.
But I think we will have to eventually move towards that, because our even youngsters are moving to places where it is market economy. They are moving to market economies.
Yeah.
So so where are they going? They are going to such prosperous economies.
Yeah.
So we need to work on that, I feel.
The budget has actually, this budget has proposed to set up a global school, basically to bring back those kids who are going abroad. So, is it something which is practical?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It
So,
is.
sir, your response to Mr. Emmanuel's skepticism?
Oh, there is no point. Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, he has raised some interesting issues. That's true, but this decline in growth, from 6.7 to 6.1 and like that, that's all very marginal in the sense that if you look at the global uh, growth rates,
Yeah.
or across continents or like that. It's rather for the last couple of years, it is not that impressive. It's not that rising like that. And Kerala being an economy which is fully integrated with the world economy, one would obviously expect some sort of a minor decline or an increase and like that. So there is nothing to be worried about such minor changes. That's what I personally feel about that growth rate. But what is more important is that the growth rate is rather high. 6.1 is not bad. That's a relatively good growth rate, I would say. And for India, it's around 7. So again, it goes well along with the Indian growth rate. And the other point, of course, what's called the geopolitical situations. Yeah, that's why that I said that look, Kerala is globally integrated, and so geopolitical changes and chaos will obviously affect Kerala economy and like that. You are absolutely right. But there is there is I mean, we need not be much worried if we don't find bigger units of capital not coming to Kerala, because that's not the way in which Kerala's industrialization is taking place. Kerala's industrialization is taking a completely different shape, where you find the mushrooming of MSMEs. So that's the new growth centers. So basically, for which you don't require mega capital and like that. Of course, if they are ready to come, we are most welcome. That's all. But even in Davos meeting, I mean, they were assured that many bigger units of capital are ready to come to Kerala. So, we are really preparing for that. And we expect that big units of capital would flow into this small state. And we are almost sure about that, specifically because of what is called our youth, highly skilled youth, and like that. But as part of that, this global skill school would obviously support that process. What's actually in Kerala? What's the kind of comparative advantage that we have? That's a question that we need to ask. What's the kind of comparative advantage that we do have? We have human skills, human capital. So the thing is that if possible, we need to attract capital which could make use of these human resources. And that's the thing that we are trying to do. So we enrich our youth by offering all kinds of skills. They are ready to go for multiple skills and like that. And as you said, Anandan, as you mentioned earlier, that we also announced this connect to work and like that,
Yep.
because the youth, they will get some sort of an income, some sort of an incentive for going skilling programs and like that. So basically, our basic idea is to make sure that our youth is ready to go for skilling activities, so that they could capture the global opportunities. We don't expect them to seek jobs in Kerala. I tell you frankly, personally, I am saying that if this is how that Kerala has been transformed. I mean, in the 70s and 80s, we went to the Middle East and we sent money back, and it is how that the whole Kerala model was sustained. I mean, in our book, the India's Miracle State, which I wrote with Tirthankar Roy,
Yep.
LSE based professor, we made this argument that had there been no remittances, the Kerala model would have long dead. Kerala model would have long dead. So that's a fact. That's a fact. We were selling labor in the larger labor markets, and now we find new labor markets emerging, uh, which is uh, which is conducive for the kind of skills that we have, because we send nurses, for instance, first to the Middle East, and from there they take their second shift to the Western countries. So
Yep.
that's the best way of what is called enriching our resources and getting money back, and human-centered development. So there is nothing wrong about such things. That's what I wanted to say in this context. What else is the point that Emmanuel raised? I think yeah, these are some of the issues he raised, and I find it very. I mean, I already mentioned that Kerala is gradually what is called going towards this upper middle income status, and in that case we are far ahead of India. That also we need to mention, because if at all you want to realize this developed country status, which is different from developed economy status, you need to have high levels of social development. And in that case, India is far lagging behind, whereas Kerala is much ahead. So that means that if we are in a position to realize a higher level of income, which is already high when compared to the national average, then we would be the first person to reach what is called the developed country status. I think I made myself clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
so that
is that why quite an emphasis has been placed on education? Now, education in especially in arts and science colleges,
yes,
both in the government sector and in aided sector, that's been made absolutely free. Then the global school about which you spoke just now, and higher education is, I mean, it's been happening for quite some time that the government has been trying to marry higher education institutions to the industries,
yes,
but I mean, it hasn't borne fruit yet. But at the same time, such efforts are happening, and like you said, there was also an attempt to bring overseas universities to set up their off-campus units in Kerala, but again, that hasn't made much headway. So, although an excessive or a serious emphasis is being placed on education, is it actually taking off?
yeah.
Are things happening on ground?
I would say yes. I would say yes. It would take some more time, obviously, because we have already received some applications for what is called private universities,
Yep.
and we go for private universities without compromising what is called the equity norm. Equity norms. If you go through
Yep.
our what is called the papers related with the private universities, you will find that
Yes.
look, we will make sure that the poor people will be taken care of. So private university is framed in such a way that it would be inclusive. But that doesn't mean that they will have their own market principles. But at the same time, we are not going to exclude anyone. So the thing is that I came to understand that we have already received applications from private universities, private colleges from other states for starting such universities in Kerala. And I also came to understand that some foreign universities are also trying to find a space in Kerala. And that would obviously come through. That's what I personally feel. Because even yesterday I had a chat with some of those guys, and they already set up their UK based private universities in places like Gujarat and other places. Of course, they haven't yet extended their branches, but they have already set up in Gujarat. So they were discussing with me what sort of possibilities are there in Kerala. And from the Middle East also, a few persons contacted me, asking me something about this. So that means that people are waiting. People are waiting in the sense that there are two routes. First of all, first that we need to know. One route is that you can come through the UGC, for which you don't require the support of the government of Kerala. You don't require any permission of the government of Kerala. You can straight away come through the UGC route. The other route is to come through the state. So at the moment, we are processing that sort of applications. And I understand that 4 or 5 private colleges in Kerala have already applied for that. So obviously it would come through. And that's again, it's a persistence in the sense that we continue investing on people. And that's has always been our struggle. So we will continue to do that.
So, Mr. Emmanuel, do you have anything to say
Yeah,
to that?
yeah, definitely. I can understand this coming from Ravi Raman, who is at the planning board. But let me try to be a little critical. You know, uh, because I am also coming from higher education institution. What I find in the Kerala higher education sector is that, as Ravi Raman also would know, the number of students enrolled, many seats are lying vacant in higher education institutions in Kerala. So the problem I feel is that in Kerala, maybe in India also it is like that. We only respond when we are into a crisis. So when we find that our seats are not getting filled, we come up with some knee-jerk reaction kind of responses. And in the last year's budget, finance minister had announced the, you know, give the decision to allow foreign universities and private universities. But now we are not hearing much about it,
Yes.
this thing, as you already suggested. But Ravi is saying that many applications are. But the problem is that we are uh, getting habituated to the fact that we are missing buses on a on a regular basis, because now if we allow private universities here, it will take another 15-20 years for things to normalize. Any reform that you come up with, say for example
Yeah.
GST, for example, or any reform, it takes a lot of time. So when we are delaying things like this, it has huge implications. Now just by government establishing a global school, or allowing some institutions, it is not going to change, because what is the point number one is that all growth centers are in migration centers. That's a fact. You cannot think of a growth center from where people are going out. It's like ignoring gravity and designing an aeroplane, saying that we are specializing in sending out people. You cannot do that. On the one side, you can send people, but similarly, talented, skilled people should come back. But what Kerala has been witnessing is, we are witnessing unskilled and semi-skilled people coming here from North Indian states. There also many business people are telling me nowadays. Last day I was attending a seminar on industry. They are they were saying that the inflow of workers from uh, some states. He mentioned Odisha, for example, is declining because Odisha is picking up in terms of growth. So Bengal is continuing to supply labor. So this that is why I said, in a country like India, relative performance is also important. So we cannot rely on this kind of a model where we keep on exporting, so-called. I don't call it export. It's like people going out. In public finance, there is something called voting with one's feet. You vote with your feet by you walk out of a jurisdiction to preferred to places where you have preferred public goods available. So this was a model developed in the United States of America, where people move from one state to another, depending on their preferences, etc. In India also we can see this. If you apply this model here, it's called Tibu hypothesis. So if from Kerala, if people, youngsters, even youngsters are continuously walking out, we need to rethink of our model. That is what I would propose.
No, is
If
it because of the fact that our institutions of higher education have failed us? Failed in
not only that, not only
collaborating effectively with the R&D institutions and resulting in
not only that,
industrial
sir.
manufacture and all that in Kerala. So we
Not
don't
only
have that
that, sir.
ecosystem here.
No, no. My understanding is that, say, youngsters move out not just for education alone. They are planning a long-term strategy of out migration, emigration, for example. So if they can move out early, they feel that they can get acculturized, they can get some training there, and immigration becomes easier. But in the new world order, again it is doubtful. So that is an advantage for Kerala in some ways
Yeah.
if we are making use of that
There
opportunity.
is tribalism happening everywhere.
Everywhere it is there. Everywhere.
Yeah.
So that can be an advantage for Kerala if we take, if we make the necessary required changes to 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 develop this human capital and keep them here. So as when you ask this question, the point that I wanted to make is that they are looking for jobs also elsewhere.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
unless we have job opportunities in Kerala or in nearby places, they will not stay back. The social, psychological costs associated with this migration is huge. You go to houses in any town in Kerala, even in villages, only elderly parents are there.
Yeah.
The kind of psychological. Then economics are talk. I'm also a student of economics, but
But
economics
outmigration is
and
something that is happening all over the country, right?
Throughout the
It's
world.
happening big time in Gujarat. It's
It's
happening in other
throughout,
places. Punjab.
throughout the
Yeah.
world.
it
Yeah.
is there, but Kerala, when we say that officially, when we say that we specialize in exporting human capital,
We,
there
we're
is a
not,
problem.
we're not saying like that, Emmanuel.
Okay,
Not
okay.
saying like that. We are not saying like that.
But
I mean,
okay,
even
okay.
from England, English people outmigrate and they go to Australia and they settle there or some other countries. That's all happening. And from other Indian states, you find more students going abroad than from Kerala.
But
So,
one difference, I thought about this issue. In everywhere, people are migrating, but in Kerala, what I found is that we don't have a big city in Kerala. Probably one probable candidate was Cochin, which
No, but
maybe again
entire Kerala is
still
like
it,
a big city.
no, that is not enough. Economics doesn't work like that. We need, there is in economics, there is a concept called agglomeration economies.
Agglomeration.
Agglomeration economies. So this is part of urban economics. Capital and highly skilled labor go to centers with agglomeration economies. Agglomeration economy means continuously you get after the size of a city grows beyond a point, it starts giving increasing returns up to a
Okay.
point.
Dividends.
So that is why cities like London or New York and Paris, and even in India there are cities in every state, like Chennai, Bombay, Mumbai, all this, Bangalore, for example. They attracted capital, human capital, and capital because of that fact. So maybe Kerala can also do that now. At least now, Cochin can do that. Trivandrum
But
is also coming up in that way.
yes,
I
Many
think that has got to do
people are
with
telling.
our land availability, or rather the lack
yes,
of it.
yeah,
Not really. We can always find some excuse, but for generating income, you don't need so much of land. You look at New York's, the estate. It's in a small area where billions of dollars are created. So it's all about approach and our attitude towards growth. We can have such pockets, such centers in in our state, but it takes time. For example, if Ravi might agree with me in the fact that Trivandrum is really growing very fast nowadays, attracting capital of various types. But I find the root cause of that. I mean, the reason why it is happening today is because we established Technopark some 25 years ago. When I was doing my PG at Karivattam, it was Kadakuttam was a small junction. Today we would not even recognize the place. So, but it took 25 years, more than 25 years.
yeah,
So when we say that we want to grow, as Dr. Ravi was saying, that, Kerala would soon become a middle income, high income society, economy. It is going to take a lot of time.
yeah. It
So
may take another 4 or 5 years. That's specifically why that people should put they had to place their trust, in the left. This is something which is to be continued. Yes, yes. That's my our idea.
but how can, but that is not, that arithmetic doesn't add up, no? If you are at the 3,000, $4,000 now to reach 10,000, how can you do that in 4 or 5 years?
Yeah,
It's
I
not
think
possible.
so. I think so. We can do that. That's the thing. That's a challenge.
I had written in Hindu 2 years
Yeah.
back.
Yep.
Oh, I see.
And then he
Yeah.
invited me to write a piece where I wrote of a dream of Kerala becoming a point 0.5 trillion economy.
Mhm.
Where we are just 135, 140 billion now. From there, 500 is a little far away. But if we really work on it, any government can do it, left or
Yeah.
right or whichever,
Yeah. Yeah.
if they follow the right policies.
Yeah.
China, it is leftist governments which has
Yeah.
done this.
No, but
Yes.
it's a completely different model altogether. You can't compare China
Yeah,
with India.
but left in Kerala can learn probably.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Emmanuel, I mean, Anandan also might sometimes may agree with me. The point is that, students outmigrate. Why? That's a basic question that we ask. I mean, for me, there are two reasons. One is that it should be considered as the prosperity of Kerala. That's my first argument. I mean, they can afford to go out. That's the first answer that I wish to give. They can afford to go out, and this affordability is something which is to be deconstructed. I would say that look, I mean, if they belong to a middle class family or lower middle class family, they can easily go for what's called a bank loan and seek admission abroad and continue their studies. Okay, fine. But coming back to Anandan's first question, that look, do you really want to stick on this welfareism and like that? Then we say yes, and that's specifically why that we are particularly interested in sending what is called the Dalit students abroad by offering all kinds of fellowships. And in this budget, we extended that fellowship to what is called minority communities as well.
Minority
So the
communities.
thing, yeah. So the thing is that we can easily go along with the way in which the market functions, but at the same time, we should also be in a position to regulate the market in such a way that it wouldn't hurt the other marginalized communities. That's the power of the social democratic state. I mean, when I say most of these things, I have this idea in my mind that look, the kind of state that you are constructing must be capable of regulating the market. It's not just allowing the market to function as it is. It's not like that because we all know that globally you don't have a single model of capitalism. You have varieties of capitalism across continents. In the same way, you can have a completely different social democratic experiment as in the case of Kerala. That's my argument. And
Yeah,
one more thing, sorry, one more thing. I wish to bring your attention to the fact that look, we are also getting students from other countries for studying in Kerala University, MG University, and like that. So that's also happening.
yeah.
They're from African
Interestingly,
countries, right?
the fact that Kerala is becoming an aging society is dawned on the path that we, because the budget this time around we had an elderly care budget. Entire budget is there on the elderly and the schemes for them. So, is that the road that we should be taking right now, considering the fact that maybe 20 years down the lane, there will be quite a number of senior citizens in Kerala? So, that is also going to give some opportunities, but at the same time, a lot of social security schemes and I mean, health schemes, all those things will also have to be in place.
Yeah,
Mr.
Emmanuel. Yeah.
Yeah, going by the latest RBI report on state finances, it was
Yep,
published
yep,
in January. They highlight this aspect. The theme is
yep,
demography, and Kerala is in the aging category. So,
yep,
where the government will have to pay more attention to social, the care for elderly people. So,
yep.
social security, welfare, etc. So that is weighing high on our economy. Going to be a you know, it's going to negatively affect our growth potential in future. So in that context also, I think it's important to attract capital and ensure that youngsters are coming back to Kerala or coming from other states also to Kerala, at least a few centers, so that we can grow faster. So that assumes significance in this context of aging society. Kerala, along with a few other states like Punjab, for example, West Bengal, these are all aging.
Yep.
Himachal also. So and also most of the southern states are in the category in that category. But states
Kerala
like
is aging at a
Karnataka,
faster rate.
yes,
Yes, yes.
we are uh, more into
Um,
the
Yep,
demographic transition,
yep, yep.
the next phase of that.
yeah,
But the thing is that compared to other South Indian states like Karnataka or Tamil Nadu, our growth rates are less. I think. Karnataka
yeah,
is their
yeah,
growth rate. Karnataka is attracting FDI in two digits, like
yeah.
uh, something like 12 billion, $13 billion they are receiving every year. And Tamil Nadu also in that range, around 10 billion. And Kerala is not even 1 billion, around 250 million. So that is maybe, as Ravi pointed out, our priority is MSMEs, that is what he is saying. But if that will lead to that expected rates of growth, it needs to be checked. I'm not very sure about that. And also provision of generation of employment, quality employment with higher levels of income. That is going to be a concern.
Ravi sir, you want to add anything to
Yes,
that?
yes, yes. I really wish to add something to this because that's again I'm going to say that it's better not to be much worried about how much money is coming like that because it's not just because that we have a different pattern of industrialization that's taking place. That's why that we don't find so much money coming in. That's one argument that I put forward. But then coming back to your last point, that's very important. But we, the left critiques, would obviously articulate this in terms of labor rights. Say, I wish to bring your attention to C. Achutamanon's first, what is called first budget in 1957. And in that budget, he was saying that, look, we are not against private capital. We are ready to invite private capital, provided they respect the labor rights and offer adequate wages. So this is the crux of the point. So the Karnataka or Telangana or Andhra Pradesh, the all states might be able to attract more capital, maybe because of cheap labor, which we don't want to do because we want to protect the labor rights first. And I always raise in this kind of forums that look, Kerala's state making process is different. That process is right making, state making. Because your first priority is to see that the workers' rights are protected. Then only you go for inviting investments. Even in the case of labor codes, take the case of labor codes, we have raised our concerns. Why? Because we are almost sure that it will take away some of those basic rights which have been involved over the decades, which we don't want to lose. So what I'm trying to say is that it is not just MSME or the pattern of industrialization, but also because of the fact that the left government, the social democratic government, is placed in such a way that it has to take into account the labor rights first.
Okay, so uh, the growth shouldn't be at the cost of the rights of the people and by compromising social justice.
Yes.
That is the point.
I fully agree with that. I think that is the job of the government.
Yeah.
No, the government should, board and government should sit and to frame the rules and make sure that these rules are enforced. So that I think the government, it's high time government realized this fact and did the right job, of government, of governing, rather than doing things. So I
Now,
think that kind of a change. For example, Malayalis, when they go out, they are performing very well. And why are we not able to perform very well here? Because of institutional factors. That is where institutional economics comes in. The rules, laws, regulations, norms, etc. So that is the only thing which differentiates a Malayali in Kerala and Malayali in, say, UAE or in Canada or Australia. The institutional factors only. So can't the governments in Kerala frame the rules, proper rules, learning from other advanced economies, or often we talk about Finland and other Nordic countries as models for us, where we also talk about their higher tax GDP ratio of 40% or 50% even.
Yeah.
We should then
Yes.
we have to adopt many other things also from those countries. They are allowing private capital, but they are regulating strictly. So that regulation aspect is where I think the weakness comes in India, in Kerala, where that is what we should pay more attention to.
Yes, yes. I think I fully agree with Emmanuel. I mean, that's a very valid point, and I always raise this concern that look, this tax GDP ratio in Kerala is very less, I would argue. And I have raised these concerns in several important forums, and I think that the government is serious about it. But maybe this may not be the right time to impose new taxes and like that.
Yeah,
So, but that's
Agree.
a very valid point that if
that's
at all
great.
you really want to sustain the economy, you should also be in a position to what is called increase the tax GDP ratio, because that capacity has been already there. The tax paying capacity has already been improved. So
Yeah.
then what's wrong in imposing an increased tax rate? We can easily do that. That's a wonderful point. I do agree with you. But
Yeah.
in that context, sorry, are we are we completing it? And
No, no, please, please
uh,
go
uh,
ahead.
but, but in that context, I really wish to add the point that look, we have a completely different government of India where you find that the tax devolution keeps on declining.
Yeah.
And they even go for a new norm of what I would call what is called a federal authoritarianism that fetters the state and its people. That fetters the state and its people uh, because the state is not in a position to go for any kind of autonomous development. I mean, the moment we go for alternative strategies, then again, it is brought under certain rules, regulations, and like that. So the thing is that we need more economic sovereignty. That's something that we need to realize because within this, what is called federal authoritarianism, this is the maximum that we can do. That's a point that I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That takes us to the question of resource mobilization for all these projects. Now that there is less and less money coming in from the center, and the state needs more and more funds to bankroll its be it the development projects or welfare schemes, all that. Now, one of the models which was proposed in the present budget was permitting municipalities and corporations to issue bonds for major projects. Now, that's a very tricky question because we know the kind of problems that KIFBI has run into. So, now how practical is that?
To whom you are asking? I think Emmanuel.
No, both of you, both of you. Yeah, so you can go ahead.
Emmanuel, yeah.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
is your take
I
on it?
think. Oh, sure, sure, sure. Municipal bonds have been being discussed for a long time. In India,
Yeah,
it's already there, and I
yeah,
think some close to 20 municipal corporations in India have already accessed mobilized funds using municipal bonds. So that is a welcome step, I think. That will reduce the burden on the state government. Maybe I don't know if it is politically correct to say this. The state government can, in the coming years, reduce what is devolved to the local governments,
local bodies.
and encourage the local bodies to mobilize funds through
Yeah,
municipal bonds. So, but that will happen only after only the state reaching a certain level of per capita income. I think we are almost at the cusp of that level. That is why the government is coming up with this idea. That is a welcome step, and all the municipal corporations in Kerala are in need of money for development. There is a lot of room for development, infrastructure, waste management, and everything, recreation, in all spheres. And I think that in the coming years, the competition is going to be between these corporations in Kerala. So that would be wonderful, isn't it? Thrissur competing with Kollam or Kottayam, and to attract investment and to become better places. So that is going to be the reality, I think, in the near future. So municipal bonds, that will be a wonderful beginning. And there are indices also. SEBI has guidelines
yeah,
on municipal bonds, as I understand. So it's high time. It was high time we started it. So it's welcome step, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, and thanks Anandan for asking that question because you know I was thinking whether we are going to miss that question. But
No, not at all.
I wish to connect this to, again, my notion of what is called the federal authoritarianism. You
Yeah.
know why? You know why? Because now you know that today onwards we have this 3-day Lower Kerala Sabha meeting.
Yep.
In the last Kerala Lok Sabha meeting, we raised the point that we need the freedom of issuing what's called diaspora bonds. And in fact, one of the World Bank experts, I forgot his name, he agreed. In fact, he said that, look, I can even provide you some consultation if you're interested in developing that, what's called, what's his name? I forgot his name. Yeah. So the thing is that we all really want to go for diaspora bonds. We have the legitimate right for asking for diaspora bonds. Why? Because you all know that our remittance is very high. It's
Yep.
around 2 lakh crore now, 2 lakh crore. And that's there in what is called locked up funds, you know. It's all locked up funds in savings funds and like that. So we really want to release it. And the Pravasis also really want to invest their money in bonds and like that. But the government of India is not ready to do that. They don't allow any kind of freedom for us to issue or go for diaspora bonds. So it is specifically in that historical context. Again, this is a highly welcome step, and we should go for that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, overall, how do you look at the budget now? There was this question because this was criticized by the opposition leader soon after the budget presentation was over, and he said this will have to be rethought completely. I mean, thought anew by the new government, which will be in power a couple of months from now. So, the contention was that this is totally unrealistic because nothing much has taken off. Was the argument he put forward. Now, how do you? That's a political question, but then that apart, how do you actually look at it from a practical point of view?
Yeah, Manuel, I think you may have
Okay.
something.
Yeah, Mr. Emmanuel.
Okay, I will start from the point which you raised earlier, that is resource mobilization.
Yeah.
I will
Yes.
add one more point. What I think we should remember is the fact that you know revenue is generated when there is economic activity is there. So Kerala has to encourage more and more economic activity in the state. So that is where I think the government should focus on. For example, even the everything government, there is a joke like that. No, if something is moving, tax it. If it slows down, subsidize it. That way in America there is a joke like that. So whatever is moving is an opportunity for government to mobilize funds. So it is not at all difficult. We need something moving. That is the only thing. So government has to look for such things and create opportunities for things to move, things to happen in the economy. So
No,
for example,
interestingly, this budget doesn't actually point to specific areas or places from where money is going to come.
exactly. So also this thing I was talking about this private universities. If
Yep.
we allow these private universities, foreign universities, etc., their licensing itself would generate a lot of income for the state, and continuously their operations in the state will generate thousands of crores of rupees every year. So these kind of opportunities are there. I wonder why the state is not, imagining this
Which is that?
possibility and going
Sorry,
ahead.
could you please repeat
Huh?
that? Could you please repeat
Yeah,
that?
yeah, definitely. I was saying the private universities and foreign universities, if they are allowed, they are allowed. I think I understand they are allowed, but once they start operations, once they are given licenses, etc., that itself, license fee and their operations would generate income for the government. I was giving an example. In every sector, there are opportunities like this. In tourism, for example, in last year's discussion, also I had raised this issue. If Kerala has an advantage in tourism service sector, why don't we encourage it seriously? For that it is not like conducting some mela or
Yeah.
some festivals. For that we need to provide what the foreign wealthy tourists, high income tourists are looking for. We need safe roads, for example, where rules are enforced. For we need They are looking for a waste bin in every town, but we don't have any. we have another kind of a system. We have the Harita Karma Sena. Of course, I agree. But if we have to encourage tourism,
But
there
globally,
should
the
be a
market
place.
is for experiential tourism.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
They come here for experiences, and you
Yes.
need to be
yes.
providing proper ecosystem for that.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that it will be in our interest to attract high net worth or high income tourists who can shell out more money, which that will be more beneficial for us, isn't it? Instead of bringing low income tourists, attracting low income tourists.
Yep.
So that is what I wanted to share about the possibilities are enormous for Kerala to mobilize
Yes.
revenue.
Mobilize resources.
It
Yes.
is there.
Yes.
It's only
Mr.
about
Mr. Yeah, please.
That's true.
yes.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Of course.
yeah,
Yeah. Now,
please, please.
so I would say that opposition leaders, I mean, that's part of the larger, what is called the discourse politics, because
Yeah.
he is not ready to acknowledge what's going on. Because when you ask the question, what's going on, I would easily say that, look, I mean, your per capita income is 50 to 60% higher, number one. Your unemployment has come down. It's almost half now, as against the 11 percentage in Umman Chandi's time. And I would also say that there is an increase in what is called the monthly per capita consumption expenditure of Malayali households. So what more you need? This is how that you measure the material progress of a society. These are the three or four indicators that you have if you want to measure the material progress of a society, and you are comfortable. You are fully comfortable. That doesn't mean
Yep.
that you are free from all problems. So, first of all, I would request VD suggestion to go for actual data
Sir.
and make a comment on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, with that, I think it is time for us to conclude. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me here today. And yeah, thanks to the viewers for watching. Thank you.
We must be thankful to you
Thank you.
because it's for the
Yeah.
first time that the Hindu
It's a
has
pleasure.
taken such an
It's a
initiative. So
pleasure.
great. Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you. It was a
Yeah,
wonderful experience.
thank you
Thank you.
so much. Yeah.
Are we leaving or it's over, right?
Yes, it is over.
It's over. Oof.